All right, everyone. How's it going? Carmen Dinisco here on the launch pad. We're broadcasting for the eighth season on Launch Network. That's right, 8 seasons. You guys been listening to me, all you people out there sticking with us through thick and thin. We even went through a pandemic together, which is pretty crazy. Not too many people get to say that and are still alive to talk about it. Anyway, uh, I have a great guest today. Our guest we're going to bring on, we kind of connected the other day. And we are talking about the ins and outs, the craziness of the inventor industry, entrepreneur industry, product development. And we get to say the craziness because we are inventors, we're product developers, we've done it all. So we're part of the crazy clan. So with me is Trinity Wiles. What's happening? Bring her on. What's going
What
on?
is up? Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, that's good because I'm really tired. So I'll let you do all the talking.
Well, I got my coffee. I feel like you're bringing the energy too. We'll get it going.
Yeah, yeah. I've been waiting to talk with you. We spoke the other day, and it's like it's supposed to be like, hey, listen, yeah, I could give a few minutes a call, and then all of a sudden we're talking for like an hour, and I'm like, holy smokes, let's do a podcast and really go over some of the stuff because I love when I talk with people that have done things that we have gone through, but also you're out there and you're helping inventors, you're
hmm
doing things, you're experiencing the same things that myself and other inventors out there, other service providers too are out there. So you kind of are juggling both worlds here,
Yeah,
not only inventing products, but also you're helping people do those things.
absolutely. Yeah. And I got into procurement and supply chain kind of by accident and just joining into the entrepreneurial journey of starting a company and wanting to bring products to life. So I wasn't like I didn't get a degree in supply chain or anything. It's all been kind of learning through experience. And that's where I feel like I learn best truly is just, trial by fire.
Yeah. And I think sometimes that's sometimes the best way to learn if you learn from those experiences. And I don't even like to say
Absolutely.
mistakes.
Yes.
I people like to say mistakes. I don't like that because if you're learning from those, sometimes I make the same mistake twice or even three times, but then I hit myself and go, okay,
You
that's
get so
enough.
mad at yourself, don't you?
Yeah, yeah,
I've
right.
been there.
Like, okay, I stopped doing that. So it is pretty cool. So let's go back and we talked about this, but I want our listeners to really kind of get to know you. How did you get into this, or where did you start? I mean, I know that you've done some product development, you've helped some companies, but let's go back to where I know how I got into this craziness. But how did you get sucked into this?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I went to college down in North Carolina. Grew up in Ohio, decided I really wanted to get out of Ohio. It was too cold, it was too flat, and while I love the sort of like Midwestern culture and the people, I was like, I need something new. So, I've always kind of been a self-starter. So, I ran track and cross country in high school, and I decided, my way out of Ohio is going to be to get a scholarship for running. So I literally cold called small Division 1 colleges that didn't really have the budget to go out and recruit, but I was like, I think I can run there and get a scholarship. I was cold calling coaches, got an offer from Western Carolina University. That's how I made it out of Ohio. Went down there, studied marketing and management, and kind of fell into entrepreneurship there. So I was working on a technology product in college. It was like this startup idea called Tipster, where you could automate credit card tip reporting. This was kind of before we had the like pay on the iPads, and it essentially would like scan receipts and you could enter them into your point of sale system so that restaurants and bars could have record keeping of this. So it was very like, heavy into technology. It didn't work out because of licensing, and it was just like we were trying to connect into these legacy systems didn't really make sense, but I kept going, and I decided after college I would join a small startup co-founding a smart mirror company. And I got that opportunity from a company that found me while I was pitching my other business in college. So I kind of fell into this opportunity and worked on that for multiple years and ended up leaving and joining a competing smart mirror company. But basically, I was in charge of building out the hardware, working with the development team, building the team to build the software for it, and all of that. So making sure that all these pieces work together to launch in a pilot of 53 homes we were going into.
Okay.
So I did that and I realized hardware, I found it really fun. I loved the physical product side of it, the supply chain side of it. But I kind of wanted to get out of the tech space and get into more general sourcing and what I like to call like fun products, like CPG, packaging, soft goods, sporting goods, that sort of thing. So I joined a sourcing agency for a couple years and learned how to manufacture, source, develop relationships with suppliers around the world. We
Wow.
had, boots on the ground in other countries. So we were able to meet factories that, weren't maybe listed online or, some of the hidden gems that you only find by having agents on the ground.
Mhm.
So I was able to develop a good set of suppliers there, develop the relationship, learn how to launch and manage projects, literally taking it from a napkin idea to full bulk production and managing all that. I loved it so much. I went off on my own 8 months ago, started my own agency, Wiles Enterprises, doing the same thing for clients. Essentially, a lot of my clients are in the hospitality industry, but I do CPG, packaging for beauty, uniforms, textile, apparel, that sort of thing. And yeah, that's kind of my journey on how I fell into supply chain and fell in love with procurement and manufacturing.
Wow. That's just pretty cool. From the tech side,
Yeah.
is is makes sense because I mean I also came from the tech side in the 90s,
Mm-hmm.
which is the Wild West
Oh yeah.
of the industry. But I love the tech side. I love the tech side, but I didn't like that it was, and I don't mind change, but it was constant. Like there was never any appreciation for what you did because it wasn't enough because it just changed. It's
Yeah.
you know what I mean. So I love getting into what we're doing now because even though you have versions of products, you get to
Mm-hmm.
say, "Here's your product." Like,
Yeah.
wow, it's not. No product's perfect. No things I
Yes.
feel it's never done. But it's nice to be able to deliver something without having to say, oh, okay, we just delivered a software packet, but we're version on 2.133 because we have bugs in this, and it's never ending,
Yeah. And I'm so glad you brought this up because there was definitely a time where I had to like reframe my brain coming from the tech side. I was so used to like, okay, let's ship and deliver this software and then we can do a quick update later on to fix all the bugs. With a physical product, you
Yeah,
can't do that. You have
no.
way more work up front in that sort of prototyping, sampling, development phase that you have to do before you launch. And again, your product's never really done. It always should be evolving, but that's what I like so much about the physical product side is like there is a tangible
Yes.
product here I can touch and feel, and it's not just going to be a software update in 2 weeks that like
Yeah. Right.
it
Yeah.
like changes everything. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, it was definitely a mindset shift I had to take going into fully developing physical products where it's like, nah, all of this work has to be done up front, has to be done right to get this first version of the product that we need.
Yeah. And I think and I keep going back, coming from the tech side though prepares you for the preparation of the product development because a lot of people don't take in, like, you used to have to think of, okay, when we do this software rollout, who's it going to affect? How's it going to affect them? Are we going to
Yes.
take the system down? Are we going to back it up? So when
Mhm.
you're making a decision now to throw that manufacturing switch, you're using your tech mind of protocols and making sure everything's right. Is
Exactly.
it ready to go? The checklist, and a lot of people that didn't come from that side will just throw that switch and then they'll fix the problem. Whereas you are, if we throw that switch, we can't fix the problem anymore.
Yeah. And even like coming from the hardware side too, coming from a startup, like it was kind of a challenge because we had to design the hardware around what's going to work for our version one software, but what's the vision of what we want to grow to? And is that hardware going to be compatible down the road? And making sure we had all the specs that would work for that. One lesson that I learned, like one of our board members, she was head of product early stage at the Lululemon mirror company.
Wow.
So she was able to share a lot of like their early mistakes. Obviously, they were like, I don't know, 5 to 10 years earlier than us in the smart mirror game. But when they had to do updates in the early days, like they had to physically send someone out
Wow.
and like update the mirror on site. So they're paying someone for that labor. Like it was a whole thing. So just designing the hardware in mind with like what we want for the future and what's going to work now was, I think, like the biggest challenge of that technology side and like working in an early stage startup.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. And that's kind of, again, we have to use technology in this world. We
Hmm.
can't get away from it. Um, but yeah, I totally agree with you. It's so cool that, coming from that side of it. And that's kind of why, same reason I got out of technology. It was satisfying, but never really fulfilling to the point where you were done. You go, okay, this product's done. I get a little bit of a breather. Yeah, we're going to do version 2 and version 3 if the
Hmm.
product's selling. But yeah, it's selling, and you're like, now I get to see what happens. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's cool that you did that. This this transition to products, and you said you were
Hmm.
working with the sourcing company. That's
Hmm.
really, you really jumped into it, because once you start, it's one thing with working with factories in the US.
Hmm.
And but when you start dealing with factories around the country, and then you're following the sun and you're working with a company in Asia, that's 12 hours,
Yep.
and it really gets to be, like you said, you have to have those hands and feet there, where you just really never know who you're working with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I still have people on my team that I met at that sourcing company that will still do projects together. They'll be my eyes and ears over there, which is really, really nice. Starting my own company, like having the ability to have that for clients, because I think that's so important. I think a lot of clients' challenges. Like I work with a lot of small to medium sized businesses. So some of them will have like someone who's in charge of procurement. Sometimes it's just literally the founder trying to do everything. So the more transparency that they have into the process and the more information we can provide them of like, this is why this is the production process, this is what has to happen. And like being that guide throughout the entire process is so important for me to provide that to founders because I've been on the other side too of like I don't know, like first starting out, not knowing how things work or I have 7 years experience now, so I've learned a lot. I've worked on hundreds of projects, but in the beginning stages, I did not know what I was doing. So the fact that I can provide that and provide transparency to founders and people in procurement is like that's what's fulfilling to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, that's good. I kind of got that when we spoke. I'm like, and it's very seldom that we run into somebody, we have a lot of people out there that create products,
Yeah.
you know, but, and not saying anything bad about that, but having somebody who cares about the outcome of that product, and how it's success, and what's going to go through, and giving advice to people that you really don't have to, because when you're designing a product, you'd be like, oh, here's your product.
Yeah.
But wanting it to be successful, it's very rare to have somebody like yourself do that. And I thought it was great that, you do care about it.
Absolutely. And I don't know, this just kind of came to my mind, but have you ever had maybe a client come to you and they have like a beautiful engineering drawing and you're like, this is great, but this is not designed for manufacturing. So we got to go back to the drawing board. And that's like something I like to go back to with new products. Like you can be taking all the right steps, but until you're actually in the conversation with the factory and understanding the manufacturing process, like there's gaps. There's always going to be gaps. So being able to bridge that for founders is something again that's just like so fulfilling to me.
Wow. You just hit such a sore spot, right? Because I do the same thing. Like I will come, our process here at Earmark, I know is somewhat around what you guys do, which you can only come to that with knowledge and experience to realize the right sequence of taking a product to market without
Yeah.
wasting. And it's not just wasting resources, I tell people, because it's not
Mhm.
just money.
Yeah.
Resources is time. You get these inventors,
Yes.
they're spending hours with an engineer, and there's nothing wrong with engineers. I mean, we're full of them here,
Yeah.
but they're taking this time, as you said, with this engineer, and they're making headway. They got this design down, and they're all
Mhm.
excited, and then they bring it to us, and
Oh,
we
it's
go,
like,
oh my god, okay, this is, and it's cool. It looks
and it's
great.
beautiful. It's
Yeah,
always beautiful.
yeah, yeah. But we can't make this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we can make it, but not how it's done. And
Yeah.
full blown people want to argue with me or take me to court because the engineer can do those changes in 4 hours. I go, yes, they can't manufacture those changes.
Yeah.
So,
They can't do it.
yeah.
No. Yes. Yes. This I totally
So
understand. And
yeah. So
so it's our job
because
is
of
also
that,
educating,
yes,
Like it's
yes,
like I think half of it is really educating people on like what's possible. Obviously, we want this product to be possible and feasible and be able to manufacture it at a price that's going to give you great margins. But sometimes it's like it's not even in the like process, right? And it's like we have to educate people on how we can help them. And I think it really just comes back to having that kind of problem solving mind and like getting fulfillment in solving the problem because each project is so different.
yes. Yeah, I noticed that too. A lot of times it's so great. I'm just like, it's like I'm talking to myself.
Yeah.
The word easy comes into play. And the first thing I talk to a client, I go, oh, first off, we don't use the word easy here.
Yeah. Or like
uh,
simple. I don't like it's not that simple.
no, because, it's their, they've been working on this product for years or sometimes 10 years or 5 years. And they come to you and they're like, here, this should be easy for you to make. And I'm like, okay, let's just back up a second
Yeah.
because I want to deliver that product to them so badly in a way that they can be proud of it, but also it's got to be sellable, it's got to be deliverable,
Yes.
it's got to work, it's got to last, it's got to be quality. There's so many things that you and I, when somebody shows us a product, all of a sudden our brain starts going through all these checklists.
Yep. Yep. Exactly.
So yeah, I'm right with you, and I love the challenge of when I talk to something. So yeah, taking the product through the right sequences
Hmm.
is so important to not only save resources but make that product manufacturable. And
Hmm.
when you and I'm all for U.S. based manufacturing. I know
Yeah.
you are too. We use products all around the world. I mean, I believe that you know there's no possible way that we can make everything here in the US.
No.
It's funny when
Unfortunately.
people think that. And why would we want to? You're going to get an Italian suit from Albuquerque? No.
Yeah.
There's a reason
Not the
that we
same.
like Italian suits, There's
Yeah.
a reason that Ferrari's engines sound the way they do. And there's
Yep.
nothing wrong with that. So making, we get rum from the Caribbean, I
Hmm.
mean, so there's times when we should be doing work with other countries, and there's the times where, yeah, this could or should be made in the U.S. But the problem that I have found, and I have manufacturers that are friends of mine here in the U.S. I'm not saying
Yeah.
anything bad, but they're inundated with work, and because of the costs involved of them to run their factories, I think
Hmm.
that it's very hard for them to work the way we do on lower quantities, lower
Hmm.
MOQs, and keeping those costs down on certain widgets. And
Yeah.
have you found that?
Oh yeah. I think I don't remember if we touched on this in our last discussion, but I was working with a client on an injection molded type product and we're getting it manufactured over in China currently. And I was like, I'll explore some of these US based manufacturers. So talk to a handful of them, but the cost alone was going to be 10 times what it was in China for the quantities we were doing. And it wasn't feasible. As much as they wanted to be American made, they didn't have the higher quantities yet that they were ordering. And the labor cost here and kind of the lack of automation. I mean, China is great, and they're set up great, honestly, for a lot of products that are like that because it's like they're getting their component for this widget right down the road. Like they can literally walk to that other factory, pick
Yeah.
it up, and like just even the logistics, the automation, everything is kind of set like we're just not set up like that here. And I think Made in America does work for certain types of products with a certain brand behind it, doing the right quantities. But if clients come to me and they're like, we want to be made in the USA, but we only need, 5,000 units per order, it's like a lot of times that's unfortunately not going to work unless we can find, a smaller boutique type custom shop or something.
Yeah. And with that, it won't be cost effective,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and those small manufacturing boutiques, those engineers, they do such good work in the US that I wish that we could utilize them to do that work. It
Yeah.
would be so great to be able to just drive over to the manufacturer and say, "Hey, how are things going today?" Or,
Yeah.
and we want that for our clients. We do. I have
Yeah.
spent hours, days speaking with factories around the country on certain
Yep.
products, and they just tell you the truth. Not only can they not meet those low MOQs, but even if they did, the cost would be so astronomical. The product wouldn't be sellable.
Yep. Yep.
You
And
know,
I think too, like something that people also have to understand with certain types of products, kind of going back to your point, like there is also a culture and a legacy of like where products are made. For example, my fiance, he actually has a boot company. He does custom boots,
wow.
designs them, manufactures them in El Paso, Texas, which we drive down to El Paso, Texas, we can find like 20 boot makers all on the same street. Like it is the culture and the region of making boots. Same with Mexico. We go down to Leon and literally you can drive down the road and like get all the factories in one place making leather goods.
Wow.
And there's also like to your point, going back to like the Italian suits and things like that, like there is a legacy and there's a craftsmanship with some of this manufacturing that is just so good and so niche in certain regions around the world that it's ingrained in the
Yes.
culture and that can't be forgotten.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And the thing about it is in those other countries or in El Paso, whatever, younger people are learning that trade, learning that experience.
Hmm.
They're working directly with these experts, and the same thing in other countries. That is their job. But here, and I can't blame our college graduates. They're coming out. They have these awesome degrees. They don't want to work in a factory. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and it's cool. It's okay.
Yeah.
But if the experience and the knowledge isn't there, then
Yep.
we can't get that product done. And,
Yeah,
and
I mean
it's
that's exactly right. Like a lot of his boot makers are like multiple generations
yes.
and they learned from their parents and their grandparents and it's like it's just what everyone in that family does.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. It's probably, for people like you and I going and seeing that is probably pretty
Yeah.
cool. Some other people would be like, why do I want to go there? But we would
Yeah.
be like, wow, look at this.
Yeah, people are like, "Oh, you're going to Mexico for vacation." I'm like, "I'm going to Leon to source some leather." Like, yeah.
Yeah, I love it. That's fun to us, which is pretty
Yeah. It
scary.
is like a vacation though, but it's not like the Cabo they're picturing in their heads, but
Yeah, very, very true. And yeah, I've done some work out of Mexico, Honduras,
yeah.
Guatemala, and same thing. Good people, bad people.
Hmm.
US, good people, bad people. It's
Yeah.
one of those things that you just have to learn the industry or talk to somebody like yourself that has that knowledge, that deep experience, and can get the product done for you. We don't want to do a product in a country just to pick that country. We want to pick the
Yeah.
best product, the best country, the best price, and the best logistics. It is a lot that goes into picking a country to do your product in, right?
Hmm.
And
Absolutely.
have you
And that's so
experienced that?
important.
Yeah.
Yeah, if clients come to me and they are like, we do not want to do China, but here are our requirements. I'm like, well, pick your priority because
Yeah.
we're not going to be able to hit all these things if we're moving out of China or wherever it may be. I am like I will say I've been developing a lot more factory relationships in like Vietnam,
Yeah.
Pakistan, Portugal, especially in like the apparel and textile side. So the capabilities there are getting good, but to your point, I'm never just gonna say yes unless it's the right fit.
Yeah.
Like if I can't meet the requirements that they're asking for, I'm like, I'm not gonna be the best fit for the project because we're not gonna be able to get this done for what you need. And
Yeah,
I don't
because
know
that,
who else
yeah,
will be able to, but
yeah, and could turn it into a
yeah.
lot of, not, I want to say extra work, that you're not scared of extra work, but what happens is it could, one slip, it could turn it into, okay, we got this made, it's all good, and then the logistics cost double.
Yeah.
Or, or, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you this is EXW shipping, and now we're going to add. So all of
Mhm.
a sudden that savings and that product all of a sudden goes downhill, because
Yeah.
so there's a lot to it that we have to keep in mind when people ask, hey, where do I want to? And like you said, and a lot, what happens is a lot of people don't realize that, a lot, China is very smart. The people that work there are super smart.
Oh,
I
yes.
work with a lot of the people there. I've been to their house. I know their
Yeah.
kids. I mean, so what they don't realize is in other countries, China owns some of those factories.
Hmm.
The
Yep.
Chinese own some of
Yep.
those factories. So they're like, I go to Korea, the Philippines, or Taiwan. I'm like, yeah, we can go there.
Yeah.
This factory is owned by China,
Yep. And they're doing that a lot more now, especially with the tariffs. Like
Yes.
I know I can think of at least two or three of my factories that I work directly with that literally opened up new locations with
Yes.
the anticipation of the tariffs.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like
I know.
outside of China.
Yeah. Two
Yeah.
of the factories that I work with out of China, they opened up in Mexico.
Hmm.
I mean, again, what am I supposed to go? Oh, now we're not going to use Mexico. I mean,
Yeah.
it's one of those things where it's a domino effect. Listen, let's just get a good product made at a good price.
At a good, yeah.
It's this international world here. We shouldn't be doing that. But anyway, we
Yeah.
could get, not getting political. You and I are just
Yeah.
responsible for making products.
Yes, exactly. And it just goes back to the problem solving aspect of like, I'm just trying to help the client solve the problem. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
um,
no doubt.
so
So real quick, I know your services that you're supplying. I want to not say plug them, but I love what you're doing. Is there a product or a category that you like to work on better, or anything? Or that's one thing that I kind of shy away from, are clothing and textiles. Man,
hmm.
I don't know that much about it.
Yeah. So clothing and textiles, that's one of our strong suits. Also packaging. We love packaging, CPG packaging, food safe packaging. Actually, we have like a lot of suppliers now that we're working with that are like biodegradable and compostable packaging.
Wow.
So that's kind of like a niche that we're seeing a lot. A lot of clients are trending towards wanting some of those options. So that, and then also like I personally love kind of like the novelty gift items. So like custom, branded mugs and cups and Stanley-esque type of products, and not just like traditional promo, but kind of thinking outside the box that, if you have an idea for a crazy mug design, like let's make the mold and like get it done, like that sort of thing. So not just your basic promo. Yes, we can do that, but kind of like the next level up of we're not necessarily inventing anything new, but like we have this new design idea we're going to do. That's kind of our main categories there. And like I mentioned, we work with a lot of businesses in the hospitality industry. Me being in Nashville, we have a ton of tourism here.
Yeah.
So restaurant chains that need promo and gifts and merch to sell, that sort of things, even uniforms, is a lot of the stuff that we do.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, that's an open category. A lot of people kind of shy away from that
Mhm.
because it's ever changing, ever moving, which I guess is challenging. It's pretty cool. That's great. That's
Yeah.
really, those multiple categories that you mentioned. They're just wide open, and it's constant. You must see people, and even the same customers, but also new people trying to jump in to get stuff made.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I love working with kind of the hospitality industry because there's like so many levels of like how we can help them and so many products we can supply to them. Like it's kind of never ending once you get going. So
Yeah.
I love those types of businesses. And in terms of like totally new custom development projects, electronics, we tend to stray away from. So that's more of, I know you guys do a little bit more of that stuff there. So
Yeah.
we will send any of those folks your way because
That's good.
that is not our specialty.
I'll trade you. If anybody comes in,
Yeah.
wanting some Lululemon products, I'll be
Yeah,
like, here you go.
absolutely.
Because that is a lot of times, and not to get off straight, but it's so cool
Yeah.
to get to talk to you because I'm hoping that you're like, yeah, that happens to us. It says a lot of times customer will bring in a shirt and they'll be like, this is what we want. And
Hmm.
and even though it says like, 90% uh cotton and 10%, Ray-Ban or whatever,
Hmm.
that same blend could be different throughout the world.
Hmm.
So it's
Yep.
hard. So when they say I want you to match this, I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know where to start, right? And
Yeah.
that's something. Do you run into that where sometimes you have to get samples from so many different places?
Yes. And I see it specifically too in like coloring, especially if it's like a brand that has a very set brand guide of like, these are our brand colors, like
Wow.
working with hospitality chains, like we need this exact Pantone color. It looks different on different materials. So you really have to like test and get that like perfect mix and the perfect color match to
Wow.
be able to do that to get the brand colors. So yeah, it definitely is a challenge. It takes a lot of like samples and matching and things like that, but
Yeah.
that's all part of the process.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I don't have the patience for that. So, but have at it because
Yeah,
you're exactly right. Different materials, that same Pantone could look so different.
it
And then
could
you
look a
can't
little
really show it
different.
on
Yeah,
yeah, right. Here, you show it on a computer screen, and then is your computer screen calibrated? And you're like, is it off? Now you got to send me the
yeah,
samples. Oh my God.
absolutely.
So yeah, we've had product, and I'd be like, "Hey, we just saw the samples. Here's the picture," and the people freak out. They're like, "Oh my God, it's too
Yeah,
dark." I'm like, "No, no, no.
I promise this
Yeah,
is coming from a WeChat. Like,
yeah. Oh my
yeah,
God, and
yeah,
let me get the sample and show it to you.
yeah.
Because those are just things that we learn through attrition. That wow,
Yes,
until you get that sample in your hand and send it to the client, it's not done. And that's kind of how
exactly.
I am too. I just want to get the sample in their hand. It's okay if they find something.
I actually want them to find
Yeah.
something because, and I always tell my clients this, like, especially the very first sample, like, don't expect the
Yeah.
very first sample to be perfect. Like, I just need you to tell me what needs to change on this first sample. Like, and we're looking at it as a point of feedback versus like this is our ready finished product because that's where you get into trouble where people think they can get one sample and it's done.
Oh,
Sometimes, like if it's a very simple project, maybe, but simple sourcing, I guess I should say.
yeah.
Um, but most of the time it's going to take one or two samples.
Yeah. And like you said, and even from there, at some point you're gonna find something like, NASA didn't go to the moon on their first rocket, and we're not
Right.
better than the NASA scientists. So
Yeah.
a lot of times a client will think you're gonna hit it on the head of the nail the first shot. You're like, no, that's why there's
No.
versions. The iPhone
Yes.
has 17 versions. you
Hmm.
know
Exactly.
so
Exactly.
yeah, I'm glad that you talked about that because there's so much that goes into finding that product and getting it out there and then seeing how people are using it and making a change to it, making an adjustment even to the electronics or how the thing opens or closes or
Hmm.
moves. So yeah, it's and that's what I think I love about this is that it is
Yeah.
challenging and we get to test our thought process and our past experiences come into play on every product.
Hmm. Exactly. Yes. I mean, I think just kind of full circle, going back to the very first thing we were talking about is like learning from the mistakes or missteps, let's
Yeah.
say, in the wise words of you. Um, that learning from the missteps and putting that into the process and making sure the client understands that is
Yeah.
part of the process.
Yeah, I agree. I agree whole much. Well, just talking with you, I know we got to get going. Believe it or not, More than 30 minutes has passed by. You believe that? I can't believe it.
I know it flew by.
Yeah, it's just so funny, because again, I'm looking to try to get you back on the show, because if we could just stick on one subject, we're jumping around because there's so
Yeah.
much.
Well,
But
maybe we'll make a focused topic
yeah,
to talk on, because I know you
exactly.
and I could find 30 minutes to find something to talk about for sure.
Exactly. But what I'm thinking is, I'm like, wow, Trinity. I mean, I know you've been doing this a long time, but it seems like you've been doing this a long time. I mean, I've been doing this for over 20 years, and the things that you're talking about are exactly the experiences that I've had. And it's
Yes.
so great that you're out there and you're helping people with that knowledge, or implementing those things that you've learned, because a lot of people won't. They'll just take it on their own. They'll do stuff just for themselves. But you're really spreading the knowledge and the experience. I think it's great what you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And you
Yeah.
as well. Like
Oh,
I love what you're doing. We have a lot of overlap.
yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Like I said, I invite you and leave the invitation open to bring you back on, especially if you run into something that's really cool. You're like, oh man, I'd love to talk to this about Carmine on his show. Just let me know.
Yeah.
I would love to, just send me a note and do that. But we'll be talking. I do have some clothing that I may send over to you. That's just, like I said, it's just out of my realm.
Yeah. No worries. No worries.
But yeah, I appreciate you coming on. To all you listeners out there, again, thank you for sticking with us throughout these multiple seasons. I appreciate you. If you're new to the show, go on out to Google Play, iTunes, or wherever you listen to your podcast. Leave us a review, rating. Make sure you subscribe to the show. Send us a note. Tell us how we're doing, whether it's bad or good. You want to hear me talk as much, or you want to hear something new, let us know. It's all cool. We're all good with it. And I appreciate you as usual. And we will catch you next time on the Launchpad. You all take care.